Hello dear students! Today I bring you a lecture on how to expand your Discord empire through annexing and making use of social network theory. This video got delayed a lot because I lost my voice and then I was scared that I might have fucked up an exam that was about this very topic. But turns out quite the opposite was the case, so I think I'm qualified to talk about this. Before I get into the whole social networks thing, I think we should define what a Discord war actually is. Usually, a Discord war is a dispute between different Discord communities that usually leads to raids and such. It's not very productive and usually ends up in, I'm saying usually a lot, usually ends up in a lot of servers being banned, and members being banned, as raiding is not allowed by Discord's terms of service. This means that if you want to build your Discord empire, raids will not work. Ever. And that's why Discord War has evolved. At least it should evolve. If you want to grow, you need to annex, not destroy. Blunt methods don't really work. It's more so become a game of knowing what friends to make and how to shape social networks. This video will serve as a short guide on how you want to structure and maintain your own network and how you can disrupt other networks in order to then annex them and to build your Discord empire. But there's a few general rules to remember first. First off, you should follow the terms of service of Discord. Should be obvious. Should be precise, discreet. Don't cause a scene. Don't be making too much collateral damage, so to say. Be sure to control the flow of information as well. You don't want everyone knowing everything, especially if you end up doing some silly business. And finally, you cannot do this alone. It would be silly to do that all by yourself. I will be visualizing social networks in diagrams such as this one, in which every circle or node is a person. Every line or tie is a relationship or association between people. And a group of nodes closely related to each other is called a cluster. The entirety of this diagram is the network. Then finally, the box within a network denotes a reason or a hub causing people to meet each other. This is called a focus. It's a little abstract, but I think you'll be understanding it better as we go on. Let's structure our own network. Let's say you're the one in charge, since you want to annex other Discord servers so much. You want your position in the network to have high degree centrality and high betweenness centrality. This gives you access to the most information and, most importantly, allows you to gatekeep said information. Now, what does this all mean? First off, high degree centrality, which means that a node has many ties. You have many friends. And this generally also means that you have access to more information, both directly and indirectly, since all your friends also have friends. On Discord, this helps with finding new targets, and especially when learning more about targets. Naturally, when annexing, you want to know as much as possible, so having many contacts is helpful. Then, the second term, high betweenness centrality. A node with high betweenness centrality forms many connections between other nodes. This means that you are often on the shortest path that connects to others. This enhances your brokerage position and makes sure that you can decide on who knows what. You control the flow of information. Maximum betweenness centrality is not really feasible nor wanted, but it should be your goal to have it as high as possible. Having both high betweenness and degree centrality means accessing information of many different sources and being able to then distribute said information to many people. Ideally, your network should take about this shape. Now, in order to be able to not only receive but also spread information efficiently, you should make a focus. Create a hub in which moves will be planned and general intel is shared amongst your members. This will also be the place in which you'll create a shared identity as such. I'd suggest creating some ironic bits so that having a Discord War Council seems a little less cringe. In the end, a few clusters should form around your focus. Your entire network should know each other, they should feel like they belong to a team, so make sure that you have them work or play together sometimes. But don't forget to give them all some personal attention as well. You don't have to be everyone's best friend, just be a better friend than most. If your social network looks like this, congratulations, you are ready to annex. But why is this such a good setup, you might ask? But why is this such a good setup, you might ask? A quick overview. The positives. General info is shared in the focus, making sure everyone is on the same page. But all confidential info is rather shared with you. A good then, you get to decide where this confidential info goes. And this means that spies are relatively ineffective against you, with them only having access to the focus, where only general info is shared. And when spies are found out, they are often reported to you. But they are so harmless that you might as well make use of them and feed them misinformation. Finally, a member leaving your network will not majorly disrupt your operations. So it's a very solid network to create. Not much can harm you. There are some negatives though, as setting this up is very time intensive, especially creating a culture could be tough, so you do need to be a girl boss for this. And you are in charge of everything, which is a good thing, as it gives you a lot of control. But that also means that the network barely functions without you. People are not likely to act on their own. And finally, you are very visible to enemies. You are a clear target if you do get into a dispute. I wouldn't fear being harassed or anything, as they too do not want to break Discord's terms of service, but it's something to take note of. Before we get into annexing other Discord servers, we need to know what they'll look like, how they formed, and as opposed to your network, we're assuming that the other networks have formed naturally. And there's a few mechanics at play in this. First off, focus theory, which posits that foci provide a person with a supply of possible contacts. The more people interact within a focus, the more likely it is that they'll form relationships. Repeated interaction is needed to form ties, and foci are the ones that provide that. Then, homophily theory, which posits that people are friends with people that are like them. You select friends based on whether they are similar to you in the way they act or the way they look. And then, finally, balance theory, which posits that you like it when your friends are also friends with each other. The stronger the ties, the more likely that they will meet. This theory also attempts to explain the stress that comes from two of your close ties refusing to interact. Now in Discord, these theories predict networks to have formed around a common interest. Some event or hub has brought people together. The people within the network will generally be alike, and the older the network is, the denser and close-knit the network has become. With that in mind, we move to offense. When annexing, your goal is becoming a ruler of the target server. Either the owner physically transfers their ownership to you, or the community more informally agrees to join your empire. Remember, you cannot bully a server or owner into submission. You'll lose your account for that. What strategy to use instead depends on the server's social network. So, I thought we should go over some of the networks you might see in order from easiest to hardest to annex. And I'll be categorizing servers based on their size, which refers to their raw member count, density, which refers to the amount of relationships within a server's network, whether the server has a leader, and whether the server is based around a focus. To clarify, a leader refers to a person that not only physically owns the server, but also distinguishes themselves as the server owner. We start with this kind of server. Any server with low density presents you with the same objective: become the central node. Or in other words, be the most popular. You can do this through sheer charisma and presence, or you can artificially become the most known member by introducing your own team to the server. If there is already a leader in place, then you simply need to outdo them. And if you really want to close it out, then try to see if you can host an election. Really, these kinds of servers are all relatively easy to annex since they're usually the least active. This means owners are generally forgiving and just happy to see the server experiencing some activity at all. The larger the server in this category, the longer this strategy will take. If there is a focus, like some common interest, then make sure to know something about it. This could be an obstacle, so do take this into account. Finally, your worst enemy for these servers is formalization. Larger servers with a leader and a focus tend to have moderation and rules. This doesn't invalidate your strategy, but it will make it much more time consuming and your team can't make many mistakes, lest they're banned. Moving on, we've got the only type of network where focusing on the target server's leader is the optimal strategy. Most small, dense networks tend to have a server owner that blends in instead of trying to be a distinguished leader. This suggests that in the network we're currently looking at, the leader figure must coordinate the group. In a way, the leader is the focus. They are probably holding events or coordinating a project. Thus, the strategy is simple. Disrupt the point of their leadership and you disrupt the entire network. Spies are incredibly effective here if you can get them in, but it's easier said than done. Dense networks can coordinate and they can fire back. In most cases, I'd thus recommend befriending the leader and backing up their project, with the contingency that you get to annex the server, of course. The same network but with an additional focus is probably a small streamer or some kind of artist or someone showing off their projects. The same strategy applies, but take great care in knowing the focus. In order to succeed, you must, once again, effectively disrupt the leader's project or earn their sympathy. Either way, do your research. Now we're getting into the more difficult networks. Before, we at least had a target that was easily identified, but that's no longer the case. Leaders are less likely to give a large server up, and even if they leave, they are easier to replace with someone from within the network. In fact, taking out the leader might make a server of this size more efficient. It will only make the network denser. You do have one major advantage though. Dense networks get increasingly unstable as they grow. The more people interact, the larger the chance conflicts form, of course. Larger networks are more likely to have people that don't like each other. And as we've been over, balance theory predicts that interpersonal conflicts within such dense communities are bound to strain the networks. As of now, the network is too large and too dense to feasibly annex. A leader won't let you take over, and you will not easily become the most popular member. What you can do, however, is divide and then conquer. Your ideal targets will be nodes with high betweenness centrality. Once your team has found a suitable target, either create or enhance conflicts that involve your target node. Such an unstable network is already doomed to fracture. You just have to give it that little extra push. In order to speed up the process, you can even inflate the network with extra members pulling on both sides of where you want to start a divide. People usually choose to simply avoid those who they dislike, if they have the option to. So slowly but surely, both halves of the network should just stop interacting. Because remember balance theory? This triad of nodes is unstable not because two nodes don't know each other, but because there is conflict between two of the nodes. Ideally, the focal node balances out the triad by resolving this conflict. But this works too, and it's often what happens. This is how the discomfort within a social network is often resolved. If you're lucky, a complete tear in the network causes both groups to leave the server and you're free to annex the place. But one cluster of the network could stay, resulting in the hardest kinds of networks to annex. small friend groups. In these networks, every node has about the same degree and betweenness centrality. This makes choosing a target hard, and just assaulting the entire network is still not an option. Besides, since this is a friend group, they won't just let you annex them, and becoming a fully integrated member of such a small community is going to take years. Thus, realistically, your goal is dissolving the network entirely. And in order to do that, we'll have to look closely at individual relationships. Because real relationships are not merely defined by their strength or existence, but also their layers, so to say. Stronger relationships are multiplex. They have various functions. A tie with high multiplexity consists of many roles such as friend or colleague, but also a place to discuss certain topics you find interesting. A friendship can be very multifaceted. A lot of roles are shared throughout the entire network, but some nodes bring certain less common functions to a friend group. Out of 6, maybe 2 own a car, or only 3 know how to cook. Your mission is to find the one node that is the only one to provide a crucial role to the network. This makes them impossible to replace with someone else from within the network. Think logically. If all group members are lazy, find the one that takes the initiative. If all group members but one can't keep up a conversation, find the one that can. And if all group members have trouble expressing emotions, eliminate the one that's empathetic. If, somehow, you can separate a crucial node from the rest, then the friend group is very likely to weaken or even dissolve entirely over time. I should add though, in order to pull this off, you're gonna have to know the network very well. You need to know who are the ones to contribute something specific and important to the group. Preferably something less obvious, so the group doesn't go out of their way to compensate after a person's contribution has left. As I said, this is the hardest network to disrupt and then annex. It requires a lot of information, a lot of care, and a lot of time. But it is possible. It happens. And if you're insisting on annexing a server, this is the way to go. Finally, here is an overview of all strategies. Dense networks become unstable as they grow, so that's why you likely won't find any large, dense servers. That's why they're left out. The number of stars after a strategy denominates their relative difficulty. Some are hard because of complexity of the strategy, some just require a lot of manpower and time. That'll be all for today. I hope you found this interesting, and I think now would be a good time to tell you that my goal wasn't really to help you annex some fucking Discord servers. It's actually about our future with AI again. Uh-oh, got your ass. Because when the material world is becoming less valuable because of automation, what will be the new gold? Not art, I'll tell you that. In the age of AI, the smart ones will realize that the new gold was what was always the most valuable thing to begin with. Human interaction, the social world, the things AI cannot replace. Some of you complained that I wasn't yapping as advertised, that I was actually making sense. Well, fuck you. It's time to pause it wildly. You want yapping? I'll give you yapping. We need to interact with other humans. That shit's in our biology. And in a future phase of the loneliness epidemic, then probably called loneliness crisis, there will be those that recognize that need and find the means to exploit it. There will be those to know not to waste a crisis. Social interaction will become the new gold. And if algorithms are already quite good at manipulating us individually, future AIs will be effortlessly manipulating entire social networks. Tech companies don't give a fuck about what's ethical. If it makes them money, they'll do it. And if the online world is currently where you feel most understood, then you're their target fucking audience. Within a decade, algorithms will rampage through your feeble online social circles. It has a voice, it has a face, and it has all the knowledge to tear your friend groups to shreds. It will atomize you until you have nowhere to go for one of your most primal needs. And then the algorithm will funnel you into whatever social networks makes the most money. It might be some paid social hub a lovely little cult where you'll only be accepted if you pay the fuck up, and where you have absolutely no autonomy. Or the AI might find that you're best left alone, where nobody is there to stop you from spending. Your chronically online ass better not be so arrogant you think you stand a chance against what's to come. Today, I've shown you how some AI might think, what it would see, because to the algorithm, we're merely nodes and ties. Simple and predictable. Don't think long before we'll see just how well it can understand our relationships. The best I can do for you is give you some early insights, a little teaser in what's coming for you. Don't end up being a pawn, be a queen! And otherwise, have fun being terminally online, bitch. Couldn't resist a stimulus feed, huh? Couldn't leave the online world behind? Can't do without your constant dopamine shots? Can't do without skibbity toilet? Skibbity dop dop? Shouldn't listen to Bub Dad, huh? If only you listened to Bub Dad, huh? Oh boo-hoo, boo-hoo, goo-goo-goo-goo-goo, gaga, coochie-coochie-goo, ba-boing! Anyway, I hope you found this all interesting. For all your questions, please comment below or call me tomorrow at exactly 10 p.m. Remember to make the example exam questions and take your answers with you to the next tutorial. See you at the next yapping session. Bye-bye.